Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by. In this video today, we're going to be doing some edge finishing, specifically touching up some edges. Like I mentioned before, we now have a fully CNC water-cooled sharpening setup, but even if that's off just by a couple tenths of a thousandth, you can get some unbalanced look to some of the edges. That bothers my eye, so we want to do the very best job possible. So if it's necessary, I will come back and do a little bit of remedial sharpening. So today I'm just going to walk you through that process, show you a couple of the steps that we do here just to make sure that edge is just how we want it so that you have that really good experience when you open up your box. So stand by here while I get this camera moved around and we'll get to it. Okay, so before I get started here, I'd like to apologize. I'm trying to navigate around this adjustment arm on the back of my 25-year-old camera stand, and I'm just trying not to hit the stand here while I make this video. But looking at what we're doing here, generally we have a really nice edge here. The machine did a great job thanks to good setup and Mike's good programming here. But as we get out toward the tip here, I can tell that this tip is just a couple of tenths to the left toward our show side here, because at the tip it starts to get a little fatter out here, and when I flip this around it's really thin out here at this edge of the tip. There, get that wire out of the way. So that's a really big disparity, relatively speaking, between the breakout sides there. So that just bothers my eye. It's not a great look for a high quality knife. So I want to do the very best job possible. I mean, look at the daggone knives. So if we mess this edge up and have a nice big fat tip out here that looks uneven and visually unbalanced, it's still a nice knife, but I think it just knocks a little of the luster off of it. I would be disappointed, so that's what I try to do. I do allow a tiny allowance. It can be a little bit off, but I generally try to make sure that all of the edges that leave here are very visually balanced, so that it's a nicer place to start for you. So that's what I prefer. So now I'm going to set this camera up here. Since we've explained this, this is an LMAX EDC4 full flat. And we'll go through the process here and see what we have at the end of this. Stand by. Okay, so we have our knife in question. I've got this fixtured up. I made this custom setup a long time ago when I first started Survive. I adopted this from the Tormek sharpening system. I forget the model of the water-cooled wheel. That's a really good home setup. If you care about a nice edge, those Tormeks are really nice. It's a water bath. It's a really slow thing, but for production grinding, it just was not feasible to do things that way. Thankfully, we've got the CNC water-cooled setup now. It has really good efficiency, but for touch-ups, we're still back here. So looking at this, I'm not trying to remove much material, so I've kicked our first step up to, I found a ceramic, what is this, a 240 grit belt from 3M. This is just a J-Flex belt. It's a little less rigid than our traditional cut-in here. That's, I believe, a Y weight or X weight. But this has a good balance of some cutting efficiency with still some fine enough grain at that 240 grit, so that we're not biting into the top of the bevel and making it look visually weird compared to the rest of the CNC sharpening. It's a really nice refined job, so I don't want to mess that up in trying to just touch this up a little bit. So after we do the 240, we're going to step over here to the 400 grit to just chase that out and make it nice and visually balanced, and then we'll follow it up with a buff. For this knife, I am not wearing a mask. It's just not worth it to do all that right now for this video, but I will be putting a mask on for the bulk of the sharpening. To the PPE police, we do a really slow process, and if you can tell me a formula by listening to you that I'm gonna live forever, cool, but otherwise you can keep your comments to yourself. So I'm gonna get to it here. And so we're just trying to chase this out right here at the tip and just bring this in to be more visually balanced. So this should be a pretty quick little touch-up. So I just want to cut this in a little bit and get pretty close. And then I'll go over here and just refine that to bring it all in. Yeah, there. Cool, almost there. Just don't want to go too far too fast here before I get a feel for these. Once I get a few in, get a little muscle memory here, I understand how far I'm going to have to rotate and what it takes exactly with this new belt that I just threw on here. So we don't want to rush it. Fast speed and rushing around makes fast mistakes. So we like to take our time, think everything through here, and just make sure we're doing a good job with a lot of thought behind it. So there we go. We got everything evened out there. That looks really nice. So we're just going to come through here now. It's just a little more coarse looking than the rest of the bevel. So we're going to come back through here and just feather all that in. Oh yeah. Cool. All right, well, and I think we're done. Excellent. So that was a really nice quick repair on that one. Some are a little more aggressive, but that was a pretty easy one. So there we go. Now we're gonna go over the buffer. Okay, so now we're over here at the buffer, and I'll explain what's happening. First off, I'd like to apologize. This isn't the angle I would want, but the more optimal angle, my light here was a little blinding in the frame. So what I'm doing instead is just bringing you in a bit closer here so you can get a better idea what's happening while I'm doing this edge finishing. I use a Dersol. It's a fine polishing compound, and it is very, very non-abrasive. Something I absolutely loathe when I'm looking at new knives from companies is just a long buffer haze along your bottom of your bevel where they buff off the paint a little bit or they buff off the finish just to try and rush through getting those edges done. A lot of these folks use these, the black or the white compound. It's much more aggressive and it can buff off your finish on your brand new knife. And I think that's really weird and just kind of shitty to send a knife out there that just has this hazy finish that will never go away. So we use something really, really refined here, so it's gentle. It does require a higher level of edge refinement, so you don't have that same persistent burr, but I think all of this on balance is worth it, just so you have a really, really beautiful knife with a very refined edge that's just terrifyingly sharp out of the package. There's not too many knives anymore that I'm finding going down to Edgeworks where they're just like scary sharp. I feel like people are phoning in the effort, and yeah, that's a larger conversation. But we're gonna get to edge polishing here, and I've preloaded up this rag with some of the Dersol, so I'm just gonna come through here and load this up a little bit with some fresh compound. This is only good for a few tools at a time. I might even reload this on this if I just wanna get a little extra polish. And I forgot my little rag that I usually have here on my side, but I'll just grab it. So when this camera stand isn't in the way, I usually have a cart to either side. So I'll be picking parts from a cart and putting them on a cart when I'm done here. I will not set them here. Not in this. So what I'm doing here is I'm just gonna be touching this cutting edge to this wheel. I'm not trying to touch the top of the bevel or anything, just the daggone cutting edge. It's a little more tedious, but I'll show you how I do it. So we're gonna lean in here. I'm gonna roll this forward until I can just barely see the edge, and then I'm gonna touch this to the wheel and then just pull through. Basically, I have to turn myself into a meat sack CNC machine here to get this job done the way I want it. Oh yeah, that's looking good. So we've already got that wire gone. We have a pretty nice refined edge. I'm gonna give it at least one more pass to just make sure I've touched everything, even everything out, but already that's super scary. Haven't done that in a while. I guess I'll start hacking my arms up here for videos again. But we're gonna come through here. I am gonna load this up a little more. The wheel was dry, so I just wanna get a little more compound in here and show you exactly what this Dersol can do for a polished edge. So I don't want to overload it. I just want to work that into the face of the leather so that the leather is actually doing the stropping here, just assisted with that little bit of lubricity from that Dursol. Oh, lovely. Oh yeah, that's wonderful. So now we have a really nice highly polished edge there. I'm gonna go over to this cotton wheel here. There's nothing in this. This is just a tight sewn cotton wheel that I like to use just to get a little extra luster and get some of that little buffing compound residue off of there. So I'm gonna work that through here now. I like to work this around a few different angles just to strop that edge off and get that extra little bit of hair shaving poppiness to it. Oh yeah. All right. Let me see if I can step behind the camera here now. Oop. So now we have a really beautiful, highly polished edge here. And everything is nice and even. So I'm gonna go over there and wipe all this off and show you what we got. All right, so I've got this all wiped down here, and that edge is looking beautiful, but real quick, I just want to take a look at the knife overall. That is such an immaculate execution. I am so proud of what our team is doing these days. These are just phenomenal looking. So anyway, let's look here at this edge. So now we've got a really highly refined edge that is visually balanced on both sides and is beautiful. Yeah, you can see how fine our finish there is. But, so that's the EDC4 full flat in LMAX, and I guess order number 22085. That's your knife. I guess it's famous now. So thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you found this video to be informative and hopefully enjoyable to watch, and stop back often. We've got lots and lots more to share with you guys and girls. Anyway, have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon.